Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Prime Answers. This is a series where I answer your guys' questions in a pre-recorded video format versus like live streams and stuff like we usually do. You can get your questions down in the comments below. I also put up a community post every week and a tweet out on Twitter. Also, if you're a member of our Patreon at patreon.com/NintendoPrime, you can get access to our Discord server, and then on there I also take questions as well from our patrons. And these questions could be about Nintendo, they could be about Nintendo Prime, they could be about life. Obviously, when it comes to life questions, I'll only answer the things I'm comfortable with. But yeah, it's mostly all in good fun. And I always start out by just talking about updates on the channel and stuff like that. If you're not into that, I'll try to put a timestamp down in the description for you to jump ahead of the site update stuff or whatever you want to call this, because I got a lot of stuff to talk about here. And let's just jump into it. For starters, for the second week in a row, we have had our biggest week ever in the history of Nintendo Prime in terms of viewership. Last week, we were touting about the 150,000 or so. This week, or this past week, I should say, 346.3 thousand views over the past week. That's a 157% jump over last week, which was our best week ever. So I don't know when we're going to top this week, but holy crud, that's insane. As I said, it's our highest week we've ever had since, I don't know, maybe even since this channel was formed, to be honest. We also gained 1.5 thousand new subs over the past week, which is, again, the most we've ever had in a single week. And this includes the time when we had 700 new subs in one day from a boost I had from my old job. The 6.2 update video, which is the one that caused a lot of this big spike over the last 2 weeks, is not just the most watched video in Nintendo Prime history, which happened this week. It's by far the most watched video in Nintendo Prime history. The next closest is like 200,000 away. That's right. It is top 300,000. It is at 305,000 views at the time of recording. The viewership has massively slowed down, though, however, the past day or so, meaning that, we're not really, the video's done gaining traction, and we're not going to get many extra views from it this upcoming week, which is fine. It was always temporary, but it's nice to know that, like, when a video does go viral like that, that you get about 2 weeks worth of boost out of it. So that's really, really cool. It's really interesting for me to note in the back of my mind next time a video goes viral, but it never slowed down our content. I kept producing content as much as I could this past week. Now, what's interesting about the rest of this content, if I set aside that video, we had, I think it was 12 videos dropped this past week, or 14, something like that. It averaged out to 2 videos a day, so I guess 14 videos. And those averaged 3,000 views per video, which again is up from where we were, pretty much the entire year outside of last week. Last week we were at an average of 3.3 thousand views. So it's a little down from last week, but I mean, we produced less videos. Who knows? Maybe, if I produced, last week I did 17 videos. This week I did 14. Maybe one of the 3 videos that I didn't pull off this week might have, bumped up that average even more. Maybe it would have hit 10,000 views or something. You never know. What I do want to note, though, beyond all the viewership stuff, which is great, it's excellent. Obviously, it led to our highest revenue week we've ever had when it comes to ad revenue, is that throughout all of this, I've been thinking about not so much how I can sustain that momentum, because obviously one video going viral doesn't really give you momentum per se, even though we gained a lot of subscribers from it. I think what I'm looking at more so is that 3,000 views on average per video. How can I maintain that? How can I grow that? How can I get that up to 5 to 10? As much as I love growing subs, as much as we are pushing for 50,000, and then once we hit that, we'll start our road to 100K. I think it's also very important to start looking at viewership numbers and how we can increase those, because those actually matter a bit more than subs. I could have 200,000 subs, but if I'm only getting 1,000 views per video, that means I'm rocking like 150,000+ dead subs, and you don't want dead subs. You want legit watchers of your content. So yeah, obviously giveaways and stuff help encourage people to subscribe who are watching your videos, but you want to get people watching your videos in the first place. So one thing I am looking to do, and I'm actually going to kick it off this week at some point, is I've talked about this a few times, getting out some top list kind of videos, top 3s, top 5s, top 10s. I'm actually going to release one this week I have a few topics I'm swirling around with what I'm going to choose. What's nice is I don't really need to worry anymore about what games it involves, because I could show footage from any Nintendo game now. Thanks, Nintendo, for dumping the Creators Program. So I'm very interested to see how one of those videos done. I haven't done one in a long time. One of the top viewed videos ever on this channel was actually a top 10 music from the Zelda series video, but that was back when it was Zelda Informer and had a big boost from Zelda Informer's social media presence and Zelda Informer as a website, which got way more traffic than this YouTube channel at the time. So just because that video is really high viewed doesn't mean that other top 10s will be. And obviously that top 10 was a compilation of a bunch of staff members versus just myself and my own thoughts. If you're curious what video I'm leaning towards this week in wake of Smash Bros, I am leaning towards doing like a top 10 of my personal favorite characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and why they're my favorite. This doesn't mean they're the best fighters, doesn't mean they're the best aesthetically, doesn't mean that they're even like my personal favorite, characters in gaming or whatever, right? Like the criteria for it's going to be laid out heading into it, and then we'll see what happens, and obviously I'll probably encourage all of you guys to give your top 10s on that video. Don't do it on this video. Do it on that video when it does come out, if that's the one I do this week. There's a couple other ideas I'm swirling around with, but that's the one I'm kind of hard leaning towards, and we'll see how that video does. I enjoy making list videos. I really do. It's something I haven't done in a long time, mostly because it's a lot of work. List videos are not just like on a whim, like you might be able to on a whim be like, oh, here's my top 5 Zelda games of all time. Here's my top 5 Mario games. That's fine, but just listing your top 5, when you're doing a video, it's got to be more than just giving a list, right? Like you got to give some reasons behind it, even if it's not a 100% explanation of everything you love about that game and why it's where it's at and why it's not further up the list. It still needs to be an explanation of why you think it's deserving to even be on that list, and that takes a little time. It's basically like writing an editorial, and sometimes I need refreshers as well. Like I have to go back and play games to make sure they still hold up where I would rank them. So like if I'm ranking top 5 Mario games, I'd have to go back and play a whole bunch of Mario games to make sure that my rankings of them are not being affected by my memories or by nostalgia, but rather where I sit with that game today in 2018 or next year in 2019. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with those list videos. If it goes well, I might be trying to focus on getting one of those out per week, but we'll see how it does and what it ends up being. Obviously, the topic of the list usually is a big factor, at least in my experience, on the traffic it gets, both from a website perspective and here on YouTube. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, and I greatly look forward to doing that. And hopefully you guys enjoy that kind of content, because that's another, I don't want to say unique piece of content, because a lot of people do lists, but at least another way for me to get more of my video game opinions out there in a format that's not just based on the latest and greatest news, which is often the opinions you hear from me. So yeah, we'll see what's going on with that. I do want to note the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee review is still happening. It will land before 2019. I'm willing to promise that much, which is a bit interesting, because I've recorded a little more footage this weekend borrowing a friend's capture card. Advanced Media Network told me he is sending out a capture card to me this on Tuesday, so hopefully it'll be here by Friday or Saturday of this upcoming week. That gives me time to record more footage. As I said, I did get some nice recorded progress this past weekend, so there's a lot of things I'm doing with this review that I've never done in a review before. A lot of times when I review a game, I basically write a review, and then I kind of read off that review and showing gameplay, related gameplay clips, showing off music, showing off whatever I need to show off to make my point. And this review is a little different because, yes, it'll have a lot of that, of course, but it also needs to show different control methods, right? What's the Pokemon Plus like compared to the Joy-Con? And what's all of that like compared to playing in handheld mode, which, no, I don't have a handheld capture. And besides, in handheld mode, there's a difference in how you control by hitting a button. So I want to show all those various control methods, because I'm going to obviously talk about those in the review, and how the game varies based on what type of control type you're using. And do I have any criticisms about that, or is there one that's better than the other, and all of that. And that's going to involve not only recording gameplay, but recording some some like off-screen stuff. So like taking this camera I'm actually recording with and like showing me using the Pokeball Plus and the Wii Remote on the TV, showing me playing in handheld with like an over-the-shoulder look. And the problem with a lot of this angle stuff and like getting the right angle for me with the TV, getting the right angle of the over-the-shoulder look, is I basically create these videos on my own. So I don't have a cameraman. So I could set up this camera as best as I want, over my shoulder looking down as I'm playing handheld. But ultimately, if I'm moving like this a little bit, the camera's got to move with me. And I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do that on my own yet. So I'm very curious how this review is going to turn out when it comes to that footage. The stuff with the TV, I'm probably gonna zoom in a bit and just do a broader scope one in 4K, and then I can expand it or shrink it or crop it or whatever I need to do, because the video itself will probably be in 1080p 60 FPS to match Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee's resolution and output. So that's going to be interesting, and I'm just looking really forward to that review. It's just a lot more work than I anticipated, but yeah, I don't know if you guys are going to care about that review by the time it comes out. I don't know how relevant it's going to be, but I've never released a game review this late after a game has come out before. In fact, I don't do a lot of reviews in general. The last one was Mario Tennis Aces. So I'm very curious to see how this does, and if reviews are something you guys are interested in me doing more often. Again, we do have a review goal on Patreon of $300 per month to do reviews. Now, $100 per month was to do the podcast every week. $200 per month, which we're just under $200, is to do an editorial every week. And then $300 is reviews. So I would love to hit $300 heading into 2019. Heck, maybe the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Let's Go Eevee review will convince you guys that you want me to do more reviews. I don't know. Or it'll convince you I suck at reviews and you'd rather me not do them. So I guess that's a thing that's possible too. Let's see here. I do want to address some concerns that were brought up both in the comment section and on social media about the channel over the past week, just because I feel like addressing these kind of things are not really questions. It's more so me just looking at the feedback that's out there and trying to take in what's good, what's negative, or how to respond. So one thing was someone mentioned that the output was down this week. We had 14 videos when last week we were at about 17 or so. Someone actually noticed the output was down, especially towards the end of the week. And I know that's not ideal, but I had a hectic week. And sometimes output's going to vary because of the holidays and all that stuff. Output's actually way up from what it was. I was only doing like a video a day for a while, which is a lot of content, by the way, for most YouTube channels. But I've been trying to get more and more content out at a regular pace, because I've noticed that when I do that, more and more people are tuning in. So when I release 2 or 3 videos per day, I get more viewership. Not just like because there's more videos, so obviously more videos means there's more views for the day, but more views on each video is happening the more of them I put out, which is interesting because a lot of channels get more views the less videos they put out. So like if they put out 1 video a day, 1 video a week, they tend to get more viewership on that 1 video than they do doing 2 to 3 a day. But on my channel, for some reason, I do 2 or 3 a day. I get more views on everything. I don't know if views are getting shared around now. I don't know if it's a notification thing. I don't know if it's YouTube's algorithm. I have no idea, but I'm trying to get a morning, afternoon, night schedule going. It hasn't really worked out that well, but I'm at least getting content out, and you guys seem to be enjoying it. There's been, as much as there's criticism in some of this stuff, there's been a lot of positive feedback. A lot of you guys have been saying, man, your content's getting really good. Your thought process is getting really good. We're really enjoying your content a lot more than we were, say, a month ago. Maybe people thought I was being too critical for a while. And the criticisms and the positives for my thoughts on Nintendo usually go in waves, right? Because there's usually like a wave of negative followed by a wave of positive followed by a wave of negative. So right now, we're kind of in a positive upswing, although I had some criticisms on Smash. And then it's probably going to stay that way until more negative comes around. And that'll probably happen sometime early next year, and then a wave of positive will happen. And it just kind of ebbs and flows. So not much I can do about that when it comes to news and my thoughts on it, because I'm not going to sugarcoat my thoughts, right? Like if I'm critical of something with Nintendo, I'm going to be critical, regardless of if it affects my viewership, if it affects anything, because I don't want you guys to ever feel I'm being insincere or as some people called me because of all the positive coverage. You're such a fanboy, but like when I have all this negative stuff, you're such a hater. So I'm a hater and a fanboy. I guess that means I'm probably somewhere in the middle, which is honestly the best place to be, I think, when it comes to my Nintendo fanship. Let me see here. Prime News only happened one time this past week, the lowest output we've had in a while. Again, just really, really hectic. Nothing really fit in my schedule to try to get another Prime News out. I was lucky some days to even get a single video out. So I apologize for that. I want to get Prime News out more. I know Prime News is not like my most viewed thing, but it's one of my highest production value things. And it takes a lot of time, but I really enjoy making them. And I know some people kind of joke, oh, it's like another Spawn Wave. I'm like, or a Spawn Wave News or whatever. And I get that, but Spawn Wave covers all of gaming. I cover just Nintendo. So my news is very, very focused on just Nintendo. And if I ever did do another news show, it would not have Nintendo news in it. It would be focused on Sony, Microsoft, PC. I've thought about doing like a separate news show once per week for them, and then have my news show for Nintendo. But we'll see if I ever get around to doing a once per week news show for everything else in the industry. Because I think as a Nintendo fan, as a Nintendo channel, it's important we recognize other things happening in this industry from a games perspective, from a hardware perspective, from the rumors perspective. Things like the Ryzen 3000 series coming out, things like the rumors behind the new Xbox that'll be unveiled next year. PlayStation 5 commenting on why they don't have any news now, but they apparently are going to be hit us hard in 2019, why they're not going to be at E3. All these things that we generally don't talk about at this channel, I think might be good to have like a once per week show. That's something I'm debating about for 2019, is having a once per week, general gaming show, whether it's a podcast, which is something I'm actually interested in potentially doing as a non-Nintendo related podcast, or a news show in general. And I think what's cool about a podcast is longer format, and I can put a lot more news in it. What's not cool about it is generally we'll get more viewership of a shorter news segment than we would anything else. So it's just something I'm debating. No, Nintendo Prime's not expanding to be a general gaming channel. That's not happening. But, kind of like outside the box, that once a week, that once every now and then show that gives you the rest of the news. Just as a recap or something. I don't know. You guys let me know. I'm just kind of spitballing here. I don't want to expand the channel to general gaming. I don't have interest in covering this stuff every day. But, I don't know. It's something I'm just thinking about for 2019 as a way to add a new flair, a new flavor to the channel. That's what people expressed to me this week. What happened to all the discussion videos? Because I haven't had that many this past week. A lot of discussion videos happen just like this. Either me in front of my microphone sitting down at the table with the background, me standing up with the camera shifted over so I get more of this shelf over here that's kind of off camera. Whatever. I get a lot of comments on why there hasn't been more discussion videos. And it's just, again, been a hectic week. So hopefully I get back to some discussion videos this upcoming week. I have a lot of thoughts on Smash I want to get out there because I'm not reviewing the game. So maybe I could take a unique angle in talking about Smash, give some impressions. But we'll see. I'm really focusing on that review of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. So we'll just have to play it by ear. And that's usually how my discussion videos go. I play them by ear. I probably should get back to what I used to do on my whiteboard over here is I used to write down a list of discussion topics, and then I would just pick one up. Like if there's not a lot of news one day and all of this, I would grab one of those discussion topics, do some research, and then, have a discussion video about it. So hopefully you'll see an uptick in that in this upcoming week, to at least one or two per week. But we'll see what happens, I guess. Let me see here. I had a lot of comments over the past 2 weeks about, Nate, why do you repeat yourself so much? And this is mostly on the 6.2 update video, a.k.a. Nintendo defeated Switch hackers with a brilliant update, blah, 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 that blew up. I'm kind of a, how do you call it? A rambling man. I ramble. I know I ramble. For some people, it's part of my charm. For others, it's, really, really annoying. I'm one of those people that will take one thing, explain it one way, act like nobody understood it, so re-explain it a different way, act like people still didn't understand it, then re-explain it again a third different way. And that can be really annoying to people that understood me the first time around. And part of that, I think, is because I'm just a parent, and I've been a teacher in the past. And a lot of times when you're talking to students, and I was elementary kids schools, elementary kids. So like when you're talking to kids that young, or you're talking to my own kids that are around that age, it oftentimes they don't understand things the first time you tell them. So you got to re-explain it and re-explain it again until it kind of everyone in the class or everyone in my house understands, what's expected of them or what we're doing or all that stuff. And because of that re-explanation nature, it comes into my videos where it's almost like I'm teaching people about the news or this and that, and I feel like I need to re-explain it in a bunch of different ways to make sure my entire audience understands what I'm saying. And for those that got it the first time, oh man, it's really annoying. And it's something I'm trying to be conscious of. And I think one aspect of it that'll help out is in that particular video when I talked about the Switch hacking scene, one thing I failed to do that I try not to fail to do, I failed to be informative. The whole video was spent on me talking about how impressed I was with the update and how impressed some of the hacking community was with the update, but I never went into detail about what exactly the update changed, about the boot sequence, what exactly it did, why this doesn't happen more often. I didn't go into all these details that people are interested in generally knowing about why is this update so much different than the others that Nintendo does. And I didn't do enough explanation of that, enough of a deep dive. And even as I don't understand all of the technical aspects of that, it doesn't mean that I couldn't have done a better job explaining it. And I just literally didn't explain it in that video at all. 8 minutes and 1 second, and nowhere in there do I even talk about what the update did exactly. So that's my bad on me. And if you guys have watched my content for any length of time, you know that's not normal. I normally will go into some details, at least in layman terms, on this stuff, and I failed in that video. And what sucks is that's the video that blew up. That's the video that became the most viewed on the channel. So that becomes the general opinion of my channel to the wider scope of people is, oh, this guy's just a rambler who doesn't actually give us the information. And I hate that because it's not true. I mean, the rambling's true, but the not giving you the information isn't. So it kind of sucks, but, it's the way the internet goes. You can't help it. If I was ashamed of that video, I should have took it down. I'm not ashamed. I use it as a learning experience for the next time. That's why I leave most of my content up. I don't leave the live streams up for copyright reasons, because sometimes you guys request copyrighted music, or just because I do things like I have drinks on stream and shots and stuff, and or like the last stream I was working out, and I'm a little embarrassed about how I look when I'm working out, so I don't like having that stuff up long haul on my channel as a representation, because a lot of that content's way different than like my news coverage or like videos like this. So I just don't leave those up. Let's see here. What else we got? So there's been some accusations as well that I ramble to drag out my videos. There's some interesting thoughts behind dragging out videos, because some people always talk about the infamous 10-minute mark, right? Like your videos have to be 10 minutes on YouTube to maximize ad revenue or something like that. That's the prevailing theory on YouTube for years, is hit 10 minutes and you get better ad revenue. I don't know if that's true. I have no idea. I have videos, our most watched video of all time that went viral was only 8 minutes long. It wasn't 10. So I honestly don't know if it's true. I've noticed that actually my shorter the videos are, the more views they get, which means the more money I make. Longer videos don't get as many views, so I don't really make, if the theory that the longer the video is, the more money I make, which is true in some regards, like on the podcast, it could be 2 hours long, and there will be ads all throughout the podcast. You figure, oh, he's making good money. You got 3,000 views on that podcast episode. You must have made good money. But then I go on the back end and I only made like $2. So it's interesting, the perspective on trying to figure out how viewership works. Now, what has been noticed, this was noted by Philip DeFranco and many other YouTubers, is when you put a mid-roll ad in your video, YouTube tends to do two things with your video. One, they suggest your video to more, people who aren't, members of your channel. So it gets into the suggested video section on more videos. It appears on the homepage more often. And two, they actually send your video out to more subscribers. Having tested this over the past couple of weeks, where I've been putting a lot of mid-rolls in when my videos are long enough, which, by the way, the 10-minute thing, that's when you can put a mid-roll in. So that, if anything, 10 minutes is a good mark just to get a mid-roll in. I've noticed my viewership is getting shared more to my subscribers, for sure. The percentage of subscriber views on videos that I have a mid-roll compared to videos I don't is way higher. So clearly, putting a mid-roll ad in, I don't know why this is the case, why YouTube's doing this, but when I put a mid-roll ad in, it's not really about the money. It's about getting more viewership on the video. Can you it sounds stupid, but the mid-roll ads, I'm not making any more money on these videos for having mid-rolls in. I'm simply not. People tune out, but the viewership's going up. So it's kind of a thing I'm playing around with. Now, does that mean I'm going to purposely drag my videos out to 10 minutes? No. How many videos this week out of those 14 were even over 10 minutes? 3. The podcast, Prime News, and I think one other video. I can't remember what it was. There was like one other video that went over 10 minutes. Most of my videos are under 10 minutes now. They used to all be over 10 because I used to ramble for 12 to 15 minutes, and I realized rambling is not always productive. So, no, I don't purposely drag out my videos, even though there's actually a precedent to get more viewership to do it. I'm a person that I just talk until I feel like not talking anymore. Is that coming through like even right now? I'm talking a lot, but I just like to talk until I have nothing left to say. That's just who I am. That's who I am on live streams. It's who I am in this video. It's who I am on my other videos. Only Prime News do I purposely try to be a little more concise with the news, because Prime News is supposed to be kind of like a rapid fire of 5 or 6 topics, and I don't want to spend 10 minutes on each topic, because if I'm going to do that, then I'll just make standalone videos. So it's an interesting thing to hear when people act like I purposely drag out, and again, I think that has to do with my rambling nature. And I'm probably rambling right now. So let me see. Our videos see more subs if you hit 10 minutes and do a mid-roll ad. I already answered that. By the way, as a reminder, the best way to actually help this channel out, beyond subscribing to it and sharing it and supporting us through Patreon and stuff like that, is to actually like the videos when you watch them. There has been a noticeable uptick in subscriber shares, not just from mid-roll ads, but from when people like the video. So the more of you that watch our videos and actually drop a like, when I say at the end of it, hey, drop a like if you like it, I'm serious. Because if you like the video and you want more of them, one, the more you like the videos, the more of those kind of videos will appear in your feed. And two, the more likely you are to get notifications. And the notifications are huge, because the more people that like the videos, the more chances you get notifications of new videos and new live streams, and then ergo, YouTube ends up liking my channel more and sending out to more subscribers. So just got to play the game. We got to play the YouTube game if we're going to be on YouTube, and that's the YouTube game right now. So I really encourage you, you like this Prime Answers video, drop a like. It's going to get out to more and more of our subscribers and to yourself in the future, so you don't miss other episodes. So subscribing and hitting the bell icon is a great first and second step, but then liking the videos as well is the next step to make sure those videos appear in your feed and that you get notifications. All right. That being said, let's move on to the questions. We have a nice handful of them. The first 4 questions actually comes from Twitter. This first one comes from @CoreyBohm. And he says, if you had to permanently eliminate one of the existing Smash ones, which one would you pick? And I'm assuming you meant Smash ones, you meant the games. I mean, no matter what I pick, people are going to be upset. If I say Melee, I'm going to upset the hardcore competitive community. If I say Brawl, I'm going to upset a lot of casuals. If I say Wii U, people are like, oh, it's easy to say Wii U because it was on 3DS. But really, I feel like if you eliminate the Wii U one, you're also getting rid of the 3DS one. And you're not going to say the OG, because without the OG, the rest don't exist. So it's a good thing that none of them are going to be eliminated. But I guess if I was going to eliminate one, it would have been Melee. Because I get kind of annoyed by the competitive community in Smash sometimes, and getting rid of the game that they keep clinging to, getting rid of the GameCube controller that keeps getting clinged to in the community, to me is a positive for me. I know it's a net negative for a lot of others, though. And thankfully, you guys, none of it matters, because this didn't happen. The games all exist, so. Let's see here. @DJ_TypeZ says, how do you think Nintendo can make their internet service better, especially now with Smash, now that Smash is out? Man, there's a lot of ways they can make it better. For a lot of games, like Splatoon 2 or Mario Kart, it should be using dedicated servers. For peer-to-peer stuff, especially in Smash Bros., anytime there's a 1v1v1v1 match, they should be using things like doing a ping check, checking your ping in your MS to see what individual people's connection is to both their match server and then to another player before they put them in a 1v1v1 matchup. This would actually eliminate basically all of the issues of lag in the 1v1v1s. I think 1v1 you're always gonna just make it a crapshoot because you're not gonna say people that have bad internet can't have a chance to play online. So let them do the 1v1s, but I think for any sort of randomized 1v1v1v1s, the free-for-all 4-player, you need to really be checking the ping and the MS before you connect everyone together for a match. Right now that's not happening, and that's creating the 100% crapshoot on if it's going to be a good match or not. And for me so far, it's been more than likely a bad match. So it's something that they need to fix. Obviously, the online service could use a lot of improvements: messaging, internet browser, ability to invite friends to games, ability. One thing Nintendo mentioned like a year ago, they talked about how you could set up play sessions in the future through the mobile app. Like, you could be on the go, but you can like set up like, hey, we're all gonna play Splatoon 2 tonight at like 7:30. So you set up this thing on your phone, and then all your friends can like sign up for it and join. And you can't do that. That doesn't exist. That was supposed to be one of Nintendo's revolutionary features that, true to form, no one else has. And Nintendo didn't deliver on it despite delaying the service for a year. So honestly, I'm not sure. Like, I can say all these things to improve online, but is Nintendo going to do any of them? No, they're not. Not even the things they said they were going to do. Let's see here. I'm not sure who this was from. I forgot to write down the username. I really apologize. Someone else on Twitter said, if you have any games you would like to see come on Nintendo Switch in 2019, it can be first party or third party or indie. Man. We're already getting a lot of games I want. I mean, I'd love to see a new Zelda game, but I think when we're talking about games in general, it's hard for me to mention 2019 and not want Kingdom Hearts 3. The thing is, I've never really played one of the core Kingdom Hearts games, like 1 and 2. I played a couple games like on DS or 3DS, whatever it was, Chain of Memories and stuff. I didn't play like a lot of it, by the way. I just dabbled in them a little bit. But I love Disney, and I love Final Fantasy. And I think having Kingdom Hearts 3, which to me looks like one of the greatest games I've ever seen in my life, if I'm being honest, having that on the go on Switch would be great. It technologically might not be possible, but I don't care. You said I could pick any game. So Kingdom Hearts 3 to me is the one that I really, really want to see on Switch next year. Let's see here. Next question comes from @ThatTommyGuy, and he says, "Who is your main character in Smash?" When I'm playing competitively, so far it's been Pikachu, but it's been Pikachu for me dating back to the N64. We'll see if that. I haven't played enough of it yet to really like say for sure Pikachu's gonna be my main. But Pikachu's been my main, for 20 years. So we'll see if that maintains once I unlock the full roster. Let's see here. The next batch of questions comes from Patreon. In fact, it comes from one person of our Patreon, Mr. Edward Norton. Thank you so much for your 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. And I'll just treat each one individually because you submitted them individually. The first one says, should we be cautious of Microsoft gobbling up game companies? Anytime anyone gobbles up game companies, you always got to be a little cautious, right? When EA does it, we've seen the result. Sometimes you get some great stuff. Other times you get like the studio going under and EA closing it. It's interesting, and that's just EA. Ubisoft has gobbled up some. Nintendo, Monolith Soft. Nintendo bought out Monolith Soft. Nintendo bought out Retro Studios. Both of those worked out very well for them. So there's cases where it works out well. There's cases where it doesn't work out well. THQ Nordic, Nordic before they rebranded the THQ Nordic, bought up a bunch of old THQ IPs and a couple studios, and it's like, that ended up being good. Darksiders 3 just came out, and it's kind of got mixed reviews, I guess. So it's hard to know when it's going to be a good thing and when it's going to be a bad thing. I think a first party like Microsoft gobbling it up is good for Microsoft because the number one criticism of Microsoft is you don't have enough exclusive games. Well, when you gobble up like 12, 13 studios, you're going to suddenly have a bunch of exclusive games. The question is, are the games going to be good or at least as good as those studios have made in the past, and are people going to buy an Xbox to play them? All of that has yet to be determined. So, yeah, you should always be cautious. But it's fine if you're cautiously optimistic or if you're cautiously pessimistic. I think both directions are perfectly viable in this case because Microsoft never done anything like this from a video game perspective on the whole. And the one time we know, when you're a Nintendo fan, you're always going to think back to, they bought out Rare, and we all know how that turned out. But that was a different Microsoft then than it is today. So Phil Spencer running the show today, I don't think would if Rare stuck with Nintendo. Like, as an example, if Retro Studios was bought up by Microsoft today, I don't think they would make the same mistakes with it that they did with Rare with Phil Spencer at the head. I think this is more me having faith in Phil Spencer because ever since he took over the Xbox brand, the Xbox One has massively turned around its reputation. The Xbox One X has turned around its reputation. Its treatment of gamers has turned around as well. During Phil Spencer's time, we got full backwards compatibility through multiple methods, including just literally sticking the discs in. Like, it's such a great thing that I think Phil Spencer's done with Xbox so far that I kind of trust him to not screw this up. And Microsoft letting him spend the money means that Microsoft trusts Phil Spencer to not screw this up. So, sure, be cautious one way or another, but I honestly think in general this will be pretty positive, both for those studios that will now be able to work with bigger budgets, and for Microsoft that will now have a bigger exclusive library to push for the Xbox Game Pass, for their streaming service, and for their standalone system. I honestly think this will be probably overall good. I'm sure some of the studios might not work out, but I think in general, most of them are going to work out pretty well for them. The next question Edward Norton had was, do you know any cheats that you still remember, and for what game? I only know Rock On, Lumberjack, Cheesesteak Jimmy's, Robin Hood, and how do you turn this thing on for Age of Empires 2? Speaking of Age of Empires, I'll always remember Big Daddy. Gotta drop that Big Daddy. In Age of Empires, the original, type in that Big Daddy, and you get get a little... Even though you're in all these ancient time periods, you get a futuristic car that shoots missiles and stuff, lasers or whatever. It was always funny. But it's kind of weird when you bring that up because I keep thinking back on cheat codes. Like even the Konami code, I'm struggling to remember. It's like up down, A B something. I don't remember it because I only used it during that actual period of my life. I haven't used it since, so trying to remember it, even though it's iconic, is hard for me. I honestly don't remember a lot of the cheat codes that I've used. Age of Empires, I used to use a bunch of them in, but I honestly just don't. There was a cheat code you used to use in The Sims to give yourself, a bunch of extra cash. I remember using that so I could build my dream home. So I just don't remember. These are the things that I used the internet for a lot when I was younger. I would look up the cheat codes for the games. So yes, even on those old 56K modems. So I honestly don't remember. Big Daddy's the one that always stuck with me though. No matter what in my life, I'll never forget the Big Daddy. It helps that also is the name of the thing in the game, but if you didn't know about that cheat code, you wouldn't know. So, but yeah, all those cheat codes you used for Age of Empires 2, I use those too, but I didn't remember any of them until you mentioned. I was like, oh yeah, I remember all those. A lot of those were to get extra resources. So cool. Edward Norton's next question says, what are some criticisms you have about Smash besides the laggy online? For me, it's disabling Nintendo Switch's video capture for Smash, and you can't use camera mode after pause a match when you do your ultimate Smash move. I don't really care about the camera mode, nor do I care about video capture, but the caveat to that is if I want to capture a video of Smash Bros, I'm not using the video capture functionality on Switch anyways. I'll just capture it through a capture card. It's way better. You get longer clips, more control. I don't have to hit a button on my controller. It's just automatically happening as I play. So I don't care about that functionality because I've never had to use it. And even if I wanted to use it, I won't. I'm not that kind of person. If I wasn't a YouTuber, I wasn't a media member, I'm not as a gamer, I don't feel the need to have to capture my moments like some people do. I know some people like to do that, especially when I just beat this person. Well, do you have proof? Well, no. Well, why didn't you use the capture functionality? Because I just don't care about it. So it's cool though for people that do care about it that it's different in Smash and doesn't even work in some regards. Any other criticisms I have about Smash? I haven't played enough of it to really formulate a ton of criticisms because I'm really enjoying my time. I guess if there was anything in the Spirits mode, in the adventure mode in Spirits, I'm enjoying it a lot, by the way. Way more than I thought I was going. I thought it was going to be, kind of lame, but it's actually not that bad. Maybe this is just me, but when you get those new spirits, right, and you read the description of the spirit or the sub, the sub spirits, I don't always really understand what each spirit does. Does that make sense? Like, they all have abilities or they counter other abilities, and I don't always understand. Like, I'm reading the descriptions, and I know, like, it's trying to explain it to me, but I still don't really get it. So maybe that's just me and I'm stupid, but I kind of need, like, an idiot's guide for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. There's just so much content in the game, too, on top of that. And I think that could be a little overwhelming for people. I did see a criticism out there where someone talked about how they don't like how you have to unlock all the characters, especially because there's so many of them, even though there's apparently methods out there that take like an hour and a half. I actually thought about making a video on a method that takes like an hour, but I decided not to do that because there's so many other videos of people like, how to unlock characters the fastest, that I feel like I'm just jumping on a bandwagon at that point that I might have already missed. So I don't really feel like just copying other people's content. So I'm not going to do that, but I think if they would have, some people mentioned, they would just give you an option, in the options menu to unlock all the characters, that would fix everything. I don't like that because, yes, I have weak willpower. If you give me that option, I'm going to use it, even though to me, part of the enjoyment of the game is unlocking the characters. What I do think they should have did is for online multiplayer matches, everyone should have been unlocked for online multiplayer. That to me is the fix. It's, you want to play locally and do all the local stuff, unlock it because that's all single player, right? Unlock the single player content. That is fine. Leave the entire roster to be unlocked from single player. Multiplayer wise, they should have let everyone just have the full roster right away. I don't think there's any reason to limit who you can play with based on who you have unlocked online. That, to me, is how they should have fixed it. Don't give us an option to unlock because a lot of people are just going to do it, and then you can't really undo it, right? So I think that's one thing. Someone else mentioned also that like if you unlock all the characters through like classic mode or other methods, that they're also not unlocked in spirits mode. But like that's the thing of spirits mode. Like if they're all unlocked from the beginning, it kind of defeats the purpose of the mode, right? Like the purpose of spirits mode is that you're saving all these characters, but if they're already saved, then what the hell are you doing there? So I don't know. I don't really mind it. So I don't have that a lot of criticism. I guess that's the only one is like they probably should have had the whole roster unlocked for online play. Just online play. They could have locked it for single player, or not even single player, like local multiplayer as well. Like it could have all been like, no, you got to earn those characters. That's cool. That's fine. For online multiplayer though, like professional Smash players that don't want to waste time, yeah, just have the roster unlocked for online play. But that's just me. Or even have it unlocked for the practice mode. Even I think that would have been fine as well. But what do I know? So the last question Edward Norton had from Patreon, he said, what's your take on certain YouTubers saying really negative stuff about Sonic Fox? What he had to say at the VGAs. So for those who didn't watch the Video Game Awards, Sonic Fox is an esports player that won Esports Player of the Year. And he left a message at the end of his being on stage that kind of bothered some people. He basically said, I'm black, I'm gay, I'm a furry, basically everything that Republicans hate. And the thing is, when you go political like that at a show, you're going to leave some people upset. I have seen, not a lot of YouTube videos talking about it, but I've seen some YouTube videos talking about it. I've seen a lot of people going at him on Twitter, and he goes back at them. Some people applauding Sonic Fox, some people thinking he's going too far. And he's only 20 years old, so he's a really young man that is just finding his way in life. The thing is, if you're going to say those comments publicly, you got to be willing to accept the criticism you're going to get in return. There's a reason that we don't talk about politics really at Nintendo Prime because people get too political, too argumentative, too unaccepting of other viewpoints. We already have a hard time with people accepting everyone's different opinions with video games, let alone accepting people's different opinions on politics. So it's why we don't get political. I do think, I don't agree with him generalizing an entire political party as this one thing. Like, all Republicans, hate gays, hate blacks, hate furries. I don't think that's a good generalization to make. And I think that's where a lot of the backlash comes from, is generalizing. Doing the very thing that a lot of people don't want done to them, right? Like, he's cool with generalizing a lot of the stuff probably because of who's president. But, does he like being generalized as a gay person or as a furry or as a black person? I'm sure he doesn't like generalizations people make about that. So then they turn around and make a generalization back. I think just multiple wrongs don't make a right. And I'm not offended by anything he said. I don't really care about anything he said. In general, it doesn't matter to me. But I can understand because so many people care about politics, and the moment you bash either, you bash the left, you bash the right, you bash the center, you bash the outside parties, especially in the United States, anytime you target any of those groups, you're going to get backlash. So I don't agree with some of the remarks that have been made back towards him. There's been some insults flown his way that I don't think serves any point. And I've seen him throw insults as well, especially on Twitter. He on Twitter is going off. I was glancing at his Twitter today because I was trying to get some background on this, and I'm like, holy crud! Like, look at some of the stuff this guy is saying. And he was at the VGAs. Like, man, I don't know if that's the best representative of the video game community, right? Like, I don't mind what he's saying, but like he's saying it now with an enhanced platform. I don't know, man. He's just spreading negativity. He should have just been saying, I'm proud to be black, a furry, and gay, and stuff. Like, that's all he had to do. Is like he just had to say, I'm proud to be who I am. And I think he would have still got applauded. But, having to throw a bunch of people under the bus along the way as a generalized group, I don't know. I don't agree with what the approach he made. I understand why he has the feelings he does. I just don't agree with his approach to it. But again, he's 20. I'm trying to understand, like, he's a kid. Right? Like, yeah, I know he's technically an adult, but, I mean, honestly, he doesn't have a ton of experience with the world. And that's not me saying it as, this means you're a Republican. It doesn't mean anything. He just, like, when I was 20, God, the thoughts I had when I was 20, vastly different than the thoughts I have now when I'm 32. And I'm sure the thoughts I have now will be vastly different than when I'm 50. It's just something that I think you'll learn growing up, that trying to fight the battle he's trying to fight the way he's fighting it is not going to lead to progress. And ultimately, I think that's what I'm disappointed by the most in all of this, on all sides of the argument, is that there's no progress being made here. It's just people butting heads. And that sucks. All right, the next batch of questions comes from the YouTube community post. The first one is from Boy of the Millennium Force. He says, do you think Skyward Sword will be on Switch before 2020? Basically saying is Skyward Sword going to be on Switch next year. Sure, it could. I'd say there's probably a 50-50 shot. I'm not sure if they're releasing a new top-down one next year or Skyward Sword HD. I think those are the two options for next year. Tunacan says, would you or will you marry me? I don't know you, so probably not. I'm also spoken for. I'm engaged. Granted, it's going to be like the forever engagement, and I'll be engaged till I'm 80. But whatever, I'm spoken for. I know the love of my life. I found the love of my life. So no. Mace Nanaro says, since Smash Ultimate will have literally just launched, maybe your thoughts on whether Smash 4's fan base, or Melee's, will shift over to Ultimate, or if they'll retain their popularity for longer still. I think Super Smash Bros. For Wii U is dead. I don't actually know if people are still playing it online, but I'm pretty sure it's dead. Same for 3DS. I think Ultimate is so good that it's going to convince basically all the Brawl, all the N64, and even some Melee people to come over. I don't think Melee is ever going to completely die because it's just so popular at fighting events and has decent prize pools. I don't think it's going to replace Melee, at least not now. I do think over a course of 5 to 8 years, Melee might no longer be played as Ultimate. Ultimate really brought back a lot of the speed, a lot of the wave dashing, a lot of the tricks from Melee to appeal to that kind of hardcore competitive scene. So I do think there will be a shift slowly from Melee competitive players into Ultimate, especially if Ultimate really gains traction at EVO and other major fighting tournaments. So I definitely think it's replaced the Smash 4 easily. So we'll have to wait and see if and when the transition happens. But I believe Ultimate's the first game to come out that could transition Melee out of the mix and make it so Smash is big. It also helps that Nintendo is supporting Super Smash Bros. As being a big esport game this time as well. So it's a game that has Nintendo support. That helps. So we'll see long haul. At this point it's too early to tell, but I think it's got a good shot at what you're talking about. The Summoner asks, any given thoughts on why Kirby will be the main hero for Super Smash Bros.? Well, the official reasoning with that the Light World mode was Sakurai said something along the lines of he's the only one that works for that given circumstance because of the Warp Star. No one else's abilities would have worked in that situation is his official excuse. Which the real excuse is he could have made anyone work and just changed the situation. Honestly, I think he just chose Kirby because he created Kirby. It's like the first video game character he is solely responsible for creating. So he's got a big affection for Kirby as his own original creation, and that's the real reason. He made it so Kirby could only be the only viable option because he wanted Kirby to be the only viable option. It's hard to fault him, When you created something, like I created Nintendo Prime, I have an affinity towards Nintendo Prime. Regardless if I end up working part-time or full-time at any other outlet out there in the future, I'll always have this pull to Nintendo Prime because it's my baby. I created this, I'm always going to want to do something special for it. Let's see here. Shadow King, 1982, said you've been a bit critical of the Piranha Plant DLC. If Nintendo allowed it, one redemption per account for My Nintendo instead of per cartridge, which would allow you to rent or borrow a friend's copy to get the registration in time. Or would I be less critical of it? No. None of that has to do with people buying it in the future. Here's the thing. My criticisms of the Piranha Plant DLC had nothing to do with how good Piranha Plant looks as a character. Fantastic. Has nothing to really do with that you're getting it for free. My criticism is that after January 31st, anyone who buys Smash Bros. Has to pay for it. Your solution makes it so some people might not, but a vast majority of people buying Smash Bros. After January would still have to pay for it because they're not borrowing copies from friends, right? We don't borrow games as much as we used to in the past. It just doesn't happen. We'd like to think it happens, but it really doesn't happen as much as it used to, especially with the advent of digital being so prominent. So, no, it wouldn't really fix anything for me. It would fix it for some people, I guess. For me personally, there'd still be people that have to pay for something that I don't. And I think that's unfair. And I know life is unfair, but I like my video games to try to treat their consumers as fairly as they can. Fire Falcon X says, yay, finally. What are your thoughts on the Persona character? Joker! That was announced for Smash Ultimate DLC. I've never played a Persona game, but I'm even hyped. And let me explain why I'm hyped. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody. If you said you saw this coming, you are a liar. How could you ever think a character from Persona 5, a PlayStation exclusive, was coming here? Sure, you're going to say crossover, Persona Q. There was also the SMT, X-Fire Emblem thing. Like, things happen. Yes, things happen. Persona 5. Character, Persona 5, advertises a character from Persona 5. Nobody saw this coming. And that's what I like about it. It's a surprise. It means the DLC isn't going to be what everyone, including myself, thought it was going to be, which is new Nintendo. Because, Nintendo picked these 5 characters, not Sakurai, Nintendo. And so Nintendo picking characters that are from third-party companies, shocking. Very shocking. To pick a character from an exclusive on another platform, shocking. Now, I do think Persona 5 is coming next year, but that's besides the point. I don't know if that was a for sure thing when they made this pick. So I'm pretty stoked about what this means for the future of the DLC, and I'm just stoked in general because I think this is the kind of stuff that makes Smash Bros. Special. As Reggie said at the Video Game Awards, this is the greatest crossover in entertainment history. Yes, that includes Avengers. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the future DLC. Let's see here. Yasuki says, what's your guess on the remaining 4 fighters for the Smash DLC? Well, if Joker from Persona can get in, so can anybody else. Banjo-Kazooie and Conquer, I think, are way back on the table now. Heck, Crash from Crash Bandicoot's on the table. Anything. Here's the thing. It's hard to expect or guess because nobody expected or guessed Joker from Persona. So I think it's going to be 4 characters that none of us are ever going to guess right. I mean, someone somewhere is going to make a list of like 10,000 characters and get it all right, but in general, I think they're going to be characters none of us ever thought had a shot to ever be in, or even in the back of our minds, we're thinking. Next thing you know, we're going to get someone from Star Tropics in. I mean, we don't know. It's going to be the most unexpected of unexpected things. So it's hard for me to even guess because all my guesses are going to be wrong. All your guesses are probably going to be wrong too. Edward Norton came back on YouTube to ask another question. He says, is it possible to get a presidential pardon for Eric to not do the Snow Angel? For those who don't know, we had a Game Awards betting special, and I won, maintaining my perfect win streak on betting specials. And the punishment is that Eric has to wear a swimsuit and jog around the block or run or however he decides to do it around the block in the middle of winter, by the way. It's really cold. It was just 4 degrees yesterday. I don't know what it is today right now. And then at the end of it, he has to do a Snow Angel. I'm so glad I won. I'm so glad I won. I know he doesn't get a pardon. I might be willing to let him wear a hat. We'll see. He will be allowed to wear shoes or boots, if he would like, because I don't want him. Because the thing is, having direct contact with the snow and ice like that for an extended period of time with his foot, I mean that's literally frostbite. I don't want him getting frostbite. But just going around the block and spending a few minutes outside is not going to be the end of the world. So I might let him wear like a snow cap just to be nice. But he might refuse to do it because, remember, this punishment he's doing was his idea. And as I tried telling him, when you're coming up with ideas for punishments, you should come up with ideas that you don't mind doing, but I would hate. So instead he came up with a punishment we both would hate, and now he has to serve it. It feels good to be the king. Tell me what that's a reference from. Let's see here. The MWX Experience says, do you think Stanley Parable will come to Switch? The deluxe announcement was one of the highlights of the Game Awards for me. Dude, I love that announcement. As soon as it came up, I'm like, oh, this is Stanley Parable. And the thing is, I've only played like little bits of Stanley Parable. God, it's such a good game, though. It is a really good game. I've seen it played entirely on a Let's Play. Oh, man, it's so good. I hope so. I hope it's not just like Xbox and PlayStation. I hope that when they said it's coming to consoles, they also meant Switch, because I don't see any reason it wouldn't be able to run on Switch, and I think a lot of people on Switch would pick up Stanley Parable. And the thing is, it's an indie game, so I just automatically assume every indie game is going to come to Switch, because it feels like if it doesn't come to Switch, you're just throwing money away. So I'm pretty sure it'll be on Switch. Gray Cosmics says, how do you think the Switch is going to sell by the end of its life cycle? Personally, I believe it'll sell about 7 million at the end of its life cycle. Depends on what the life cycle is. Nintendo talked about Switch being a family of systems. So, like, if Switch 2 is like a Switch Pro, and then it's lasting for 10 years, I mean, 100 plus million. If it's just talking about this current Switch, I think this current Switch will sell 60. But I think there's going to be at least a Switch XL or Switch Mini or something in there somewhere that's going to give it an extra 10 or 20. Honestly, I think it's got a shot at 100 million, but probably realistically, around 80. But it also depends. If it's just going to be a family that's consistently upgraded like iPhones and stuff are, then sky's the limit, because it's all going to depend on, are we just talking about a single gen of that platform, or are we talking about Switch on the whole? So we'll have to wait and see. It's hard for me to determine right now. Let's see here. Taylor Bone says, in regards to the video that you made on issues with Smash Online, do you think multiplayer games like Smash Ultimate should be judged in part on their online performance? I think when they made the reviews, they were. The thing is, when you're in just the review period, you're playing against other people that have review copies of the game. The people who have review copies of the game are highly likely to have really good internet, because they're doing a review, which means their job partially involves the internet. So they probably have really good internet both at their job and at home. So they probably did judge it based on the online experience. They just didn't judge it on the online experience post-launch. I think what's interesting with Smash is a lot of the game doesn't take place online. A vast majority of the content in the game has nothing to do with playing online. So I think it plays a part in a review, but I don't think it needs to play as big a role as you probably think it does. I know I mentioned something to you when you made this comment, and then you said something, well, you think it should be a bigger role because even though it's got a lot of content offline, Smash, is popular because of online play or whatever. I disagree with that. I think Smash is popular because of local play. Remember, Smash was not an online game when it launched on N64. If you eliminate online from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, it's still going to be a massively popular game. It's not a game that's reliant on online to be popular. It's a game that has online as an option. It's a game that does online, quote-unquote, best of all of Nintendo's games besides like Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2, you could argue without online, is just not enough content to justify it. Smash Bros. Smash Bros. Is perfectly playable for 60, 70, 80-plus hours offline without even doing local co-op and local battles. So, I think you have to judge it on the whole. I think online plays a part in it, but when you have review copies, you're kind of in the ideal online experience situation. So it's tough, but ultimately a lot of fighting games and a lot of online games have these issues, and it doesn't really mean the game itself is bad. It means that Nintendo needs to do a better job of figuring out how to make it better. And these criticisms are always brought up anyways. I don't know that it really matters for review purposes, because the point of a review is to tell you if the game's good or not. The game is good, so reviews did their job. Ultimate Keymaster said, do you think Joker will be our only Cloud-style DLC pick for Ultimate, or do you think there may be others? And I think what he means by Cloud-style DLC pick is picking a character for a game that's not on a Nintendo platform. I think there's going to be others. So I think this pick was all about Nintendo making a statement of, yeah, literally anyone can be picked, just so you're aware. No one's off limits. Next thing you know, damn Nathan Drake's going to be in. Like, I honestly think it would be possible. I think Nintendo is saying there are absolutely zero limits to what we can put in Smash Bros. And I think after PlayStation All-Stars fell apart, I think Sony would be more than willing to allow something like Nathan Drake to be in, just for the hell of it. So, and plus they would probably get like a little royalty on that DLC for it. So, let's see here. And then he goes on to say, what I mean is characters that are typically associated with a different system. Yeah, that's what I figured you said. Let me see here. Key Love says, with the precedent for Ultimate DLC's fighter set with Joker from Persona, what other types of characters do you think we'll see? More or less third-party, old versus new? I think we're going to get a lot of third-party stuff. I think anything expected should be thrown out the window. Whatever you're expecting is probably not going to be it. So, Grizzly Mank says, are you excited? Finally, a question not related to Smash. For Luigi's Mansion 3. Yes! Luigi's Mansion question. Also, as a note, I remember when I started watching this channel, and compared to the picture in the thumbnail the other day, you're doing great work with yourself. All right. We'll tackle this in two parts. First, Luigi's Mansion. Yes, I'm excited for Luigi's Mansion 3. Played the hell out of Dark Moon. Played the hell out of the original. Can't wait. Yes, Luigi's Mansion 3. High hopes. That game is going to be amazing. So you're on your side note. When I originally read this, I thought it meant something else. But rereading it, I thought you were just talking about my channel, like my thumbnails and my content have gotten better. But now that I reread this, as a side note, I remember when I started watching this channel and compare to the picture in the thumbnail the other day, you're doing great work with yourself. I think you're talking about me losing weight. I think you're talking about me trying to, be more energetic maybe, get better sleep, do better things for my health. I think that's what you're referencing. Funny thing is, I'm actually gained a lot of weight since I started the channel, but now I'm starting to lose the weight. So if you look at my thumbnails from like 6 months ago to now, I probably look a little thinner. I also know in thumbnails ways to make myself look a little better. For starters, always face this direction or like this towards the camera, because when you do that, it makes you look thinner. If I actually face like this, you'll see there's quite a bit of extra weight packed on there. So you'll notice in thumbnails, I'm never facing in the direction that makes me look fat. 2, you could do little tricks to make yourself look thinner. As an example, I have a double chin. I just do. It's worse when I go like this. But when I extend my face out like this, look at that. Look how much younger I look. Look how much smoother my skin looks, how there's no double chin. And all I'm doing is I'm extending my neck, which is pulling my skin back, which is making me look younger. So a lot of this that you're seeing in these thumbnails is me just using camera tricks because I know how to make myself look good in a photo. But beyond that, it is true I've lost a little weight. So I am shaping up and getting better. That obviously helps, but I think personally, just because I do way more than I did last year, that I have, that I'm just getting better at like trying to get rid of all of this, or like looking up like this, which also stretches out my skin, stuff like that. So again, little tricks I'm learning because of my weight and because of the way my body looks to make myself look better. But I'm glad that apparently I look better in my thumbnails anyways. It would have been different if you would have said, oh man, you look better in your videos, because then it's like, well, in my videos I'm not using tricks. In the thumbnails it's like, well, I mean, yeah, of course I look better because I'm getting better at taking those kind of photos. All right. Anyways, folks, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into Prime Answers. If you made it this far, awesome. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon. You better be entering our Nintendo Switch Super Smash Bros. Ultimate giveaway. Even if you have a Switch, even if you have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, you can give it away to somebody else. You can have a second one. Maybe you just have Smash and you would like to have the special edition look of it. Whatever, it's yours to do it with what you want. So enter the giveaway. It's free. You just got to be subscribed to the channel. I'll link down in the description. Thanks so much for your questions. Be sure to get more questions in for next week down in the comments. You also leave comments on this episode, things you want to say to me or reply to me or say I'm stupid or whatever you want to say. I am Nathaniel Rufflejans from Nintendo Prime, and this was Prime Answers. Thanks for checking it out.